Hello, lovely people of purpose. Today I wish to guide us to see just how quickly self-talk can turn a life to deep trouble. But before we get there, we open up a one-on-one question and answer transformation talk called Be Heard. You get to ask Coach Nyambura questions one-on-one. Check for the Zoom link in the description section and do join up with questions and comments. You can also send your comments or questions to WhatsApp 0713103033, email nyambura@partsofgold.com, or comment below. We will answer the questions, we will respond to the comments during the Be Heard meeting. Remember, subscribe to this channel to get updates when new content goes up. Also, are you struggling in career or business? Don't struggle alone. Find out about the one-on-one coaching in the description box. So today, I want to start with a story because I am African and we enjoy the good story. And I wish to illustrate winning in life for the leader with specific focus on enterprise development. But particularly want to look at self-talk. Now, this is a real life account. It came to me from yet another friend, although a lot of details are changed to protect her. In yet another random conversation in my kitchen, seems a lot of fascinating conversations go down in my kitchen. We landed into a discussion on something she called the Kenyan dream. You know, there is the American dream. Yes, this one was the Kenyan dream. Now, my friend is a high-profile corporate type. She has held top-level corporate jobs for as many years as I've known her. Up to about 2 years ago, she flew in and out of Kenya, the way some of us take a quick dash to the shops. Sometimes she would visit countries with names I had heard for the first time on her tongue. Anytime she wanted to change employers, she did not write long letters starting, "I wish to work for your esteemed organization," or those types of intros. No. She would send word around in her fraternity and then sit and wait for the best offer worth making a move for. It's called being a candidate for the corporate headhunt. Now, 2 years ago, as she told me, she had decided to follow the Kenyan dream and build a business. Now, that is where she first mentioned the term the Kenyan dream. If before that mention I was allowing my brain to plan dinner as I listened, now she had my full attention. Now, what is the Kenyan dream, I wondered. I've never heard of such a thing, my inner ramble answered. Well, I had known when she left employment to start business, but I had not known she was chasing a dream. I also knew that she was a confident person, or so I thought until this conversation started to unfold. In another episode, I'll tell you why I hear issues of self-confidence so deeply today than I would have had them some years back. But being the speaker on human potential that I am, I was now deeply interested on what type of dream tagged Kenyan would make someone drop what I knew she had to follow after what I knew was a long line of frustrations in the business world. At the time of that conversation, she had been struggling financially for about 2 years. Dropping out of the corporate world and the business missteps had triggered what now was a real financial struggle. And thus, in those 2 years, she had sold her cars, she had launched and shut down several businesses, abandoned several high capital projects. She had moved from what was an attractive 3-bedroom rental house in some suburban estate, had sold properties to survive, and was now living in her own house. Now, up to that point, I had not thought that living in her own house was a problem, but she was embarrassed. In her presentation, it was her house, yes, but it was not complete. That was my next red flag on the self-confidence challenges that were unfolding. Okay, yours truly wasn't getting the difference between own house and incomplete house at that point, but I was listening. Now, what stunned me was the punchline. Above all, and in her view of herself, she was a failure. See, if like yours truly, you speak into the human potential space, statements of self-shaming make you instantly tremendously uncomfortable. Because in the journey to being the best version of yourself, it's not who the world says you are that matters, but who you say you are. Now in this case, I was in the group of the world, and I could tell you she was far from being a failure. Not by any standards. For a woman up to that point I had considered quite self-confident, it was even more disturbing. This self-shaming was new and alarming. But I was still listening. I was now intensely curious about that thing turned the Kenyan dream that had brought on the woye me jag in my friend. Now, according to her description, this is the Kenyan dream. Own a 3-bedroom house. I want to emphasize own. Apparently, said house needed to be complete and one that can be lived in. A husband, well, we were 2 women, so the point of wife did not arise. 3 children. A thriving business. By this time, I was so mesmerized, I did not even think to ask about the annual turnover of said business. I was also partly amused by the list up to that point, but it was the last item on the Kenyan dream that gave me a complete brain freeze. One should have land, plots of land. Again, I was so startled, I did not even hear how many or how large those plots of land needed to be. In my mind, I said, this is the way people completely erode their self-confidence, and to what end? For what purpose? Now, allow me to say that conversation continued for hours later, as I endeavored to deconstruct this house of clay she had put up for herself. I needed it flat on the ground, Kenyan dream, my right and left foot. Like, really? And this, dear friends, for the leader, is what I want to speak about today. Hear me well. Do not destroy your life by taking labels people throw around on the streets. Plaster them on yourself. Own them. And destroy your sense of self on that account. No. You are not just another item off the groundstone of creation that looks and is just like the other one. You are not the mass production edition of humanity. You are the prototype. There is no other human being that is just like you. You are it. And therefore, you're not here to to follow some laid out parameters, possibly created by a bunch of drunks in animated Bartok. Because honestly, to me, that whole Kenyan dream thing sounded like talk right out of very drunk Bartok. Of course, that is buzz before Rona came to town. I could tear apart that Kenyan dream thing from 100 different directions and then some. But unfortunately, that is exactly what a lot of people do to themselves all the time. First, let's get this out of the way. There is no one on earth who is a failure. Remove that term from your vocabulary from here on out. Why? Because if it can be used on another human being, it can be used on you. Now, what is even worse, if you can use it on another human being, you can use it on yourself. And there is no greater harm anyone can do to you than the harm you do to yourself when you label yourself a failure or a loser. The opposite of winner is not a loser, by the way. Some things simply do not have an opposite. They are tags that hold no meaning. Listen, defining anyone as a loser is based on self-evaluation. Most of the time, the loser label is used from a point of pain, anger, or disappointment in self. It is a description of the speaker's own assessment of their lives. Also watch. The people who easily tag others losers hardly ever label anyone a winner. Why? Because it is spoken from negativity. Such individuals do not have appreciation of self within them. They cannot find anything good in themselves and therefore find even less good in others. Self-hate almost always presents itself as hate for others. A person who deeply appreciates themselves is unlikely to hold another in contempt. If you encounter a person who's in contempt for others, anytime you see contempt for others, you are looking at a person who holds themselves in deep contempt. Next, to label yourself a loser based on perceived wins of another person's life is, it's just being awkward. You cannot pass the chemistry exam by sitting the physics exam. As we say on the streets, you are not them, they are not you. Your life path is yours, not theirs. So how are their seeming wins about you? Now let us definitely get to the matter of physical possessions, and let's get it out of the way as well. Remember, no one came here with a container with instructions. Fill this container in so many years or else. There are no documents on the quantity of earthly property you should amass in a lifetime, is there? Yes, to be able to pay your way through life and have more to spare is a desired outcome in an earth life. To gather abundantly more to be able to be of great benefit to others is also a desired outcome. However, if neither has happened yet, do not give yourself conclusive labels. As long as you still have life in you, there is room to keep working things out. You have therefore not failed because you have not finished. So, what do we want to take away from this edition? Number 1, stop evaluating the quality of your life based on physical acquisitions, property. Definitely stop evaluating your life by what you consider successes in other people's lives. Number 2, do not use your own thoughts about yourself to pull yourself down. There is no greater destroyer than the destroyer that pulls you down from within and inside your own self-talk. Number 3, how did my friend end up sabotaging so much of her life following after a random thing called a Kenyan dream? Self-talk. She had, for whatever reasons, started to tell herself she's not good enough. That came out quite clearly as she said she had failed. Well, by the time we were done with that chat, she had made new and very empowering decisions. Today she is back in the driving seat and she is thriving. Listen, we do not have a way of knowing when negative self-talk starts to haunt a person. But beware of how you talk to yourself. The moment you start to tell yourself you're not good enough in one area, you crash and burn in very many other areas. And I need to repeat that because it's important. When you start to tell yourself you're not good enough in one area, unfortunately, you crash and burn in many other areas. And we'll discuss this in more detail in future episodes. Be very cautious about how you talk to yourself. How do you talk to yourself? Do you encourage yourself? Do you give yourself motivation? When you wake up in the morning, is your first set of thoughts what you do not have, or what you do, or what you do have? Do you start by thinking what you have failed at, or do you start by planning on the things you can win at that day? Always guard your first series of thoughts in the morning. Learn to listen to those thoughts and send them in a different direction. If they were going towards failure, send them towards success. You have control over the thoughts you think. So direct your thoughts to the thoughts that give you a boost of confidence. And lastly, remember, life is not a group sport. If it was, remember the epic races you won as discussed in episode 2. You would have won them as a group if life was a group activity. Even when people come to Earth as multiple births, they are still very unique individually. Life is a solo sport. That is why you are born alone. You can only chew, swallow, see, and do all other things alone. Even when you have company, you cannot eat and another swallow, for example. Even if you're at the same table, you chew for you. Even mothers of old, Who would chew for the baby? Nowadays we have blenders. The child had to swallow for self. So do not spend your life trying to make life a group sport when it is not. That said, remember, there is no harm in looking around you and saying, I like that. I like that too. Ooh, I like that as well. And putting them on your list of desired accomplishments. There's no harm in that. The problem arises when you trash talk yourself because you do not have what another has. The leader is their best fan, their strongest and loudest cheering squad. So again, guard your self-talk. Guard the way you talk to yourself. We will break it off there for today. It's been a delight to speak with you. And we want to hear from you. Make your comments. I will read and respond. All comments matter. And let us get together again. Do subscribe to get alerts as soon as new content goes up. This program will be shaped by you, so we want to hear from you. Post your comments, suggestions, and questions in the comment section below. Follow at Conscious Parts on Twitter. Retweet, like, let us expand the conversation. The more we engage, the deeper the questions will be, and the deeper the answers will reach into the heart of the challenges. You can also send longer and deeper questions on Telegram or on WhatsApp. The connections are on your screen and in the description. Also, do tell us where you are in 254 and anywhere else you're listening from. Who knows, we might be in your neighborhood. For now, we end it here until next week, same time. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. This is Nyambura signing off for now.